If you have been looking for a gaming PC recently, you may have noticed that the prices to buy a gaming PC are just ridiculously high right now. And especially if you want to build, say, an RTX 3000 PC, then you may even have to sell a body part in order to obtain one of those gaming PCs. But don't worry, in today's video, we're not going to be doing any of that. We're going to be building a PC for under $200. That's not only easy to put together, but also the parts are readily available on the used market and even the new market in the case of the GT 1030. Now this GPU here, it's not going to give you ultra gaming performance, but what it is going to do is still give you a decent experience at 720p or 1080p. And another good thing about this card is that cryptocurrency miners are simply not targeting this graphics card at all because it won't make them the profits, and it's not worth the time for them to invest in something like this, which means that it's relatively well priced for what it is on the market. So let's take a look at what other parts we're going to put inside this PC, and then of course we'll quickly put it together and see how well it performs.
Hey bro, are you tired of seeing this annoying activate Windows message? Then if so, today's video sponsor SCD Keys has you covered. For as little as $14 using the coupon code BFTYC, you can get activated today. Works for Windows 11 Pro too. Links in the description below.
So before we get on to building this PC, there's three other components besides the GT 1030 that we're going to need. The first is this right here, and I'd call this the star of the show. This is a small form factor HP 8300 third generation system. It has an i5-3470, 8GB of RAM. However, we got this for $50 and it didn't include any drives. So we will have to add our own drives, which we're going to be using a 120GB SSD. You can get these for around $20, even brand new. If you're looking for one used, you may be able to get it cheaper. Then we've got a 500GB hard drive. I picked this up off the used market for $10. So the price tally that we paid for these parts, I'll put them up on the screen, as well as put some links in the description below. But building this thing is really easy. So first of all, we just take off this side panel and then we have to install the graphics card. However, you may notice that out of the box, we have a bracket that is longer than what will fit in this PC. And that's because it's a small form factor PC. So there's actually a different bracket that we need to quickly install on our graphics card. Now, I've got the Asus model here for the GT 1030, but if you're buying these off the used market, just make sure they include the small form factor bracket, or aka the low profile bracket. And so the one that we got here from the store, we got this from a local store here for about $90 brand new, and it did include this bracket from the get-go. We then took the normal bracket off and installed the low profile bracket, and then it's slotted into the PC absolutely fine. Now it's time to install our drives, and I like to use for this, since some of these PCs can be a little bit complicated in installing the drives, I personally like to use double-sided tape. It makes the job hassle-free and just very quick and easy to install. Then after applying the double-sided tape on both the SSD and the hard drive, I like to, in this particular HP case right here, I like to put the hard drive where it originally was and then put it upside down actually, and then mount it to the metal bracket with the double-sided tape. And then for the SSD, I actually found just under the power supply was a nice location. And then I've reused the SATA power and the SATA data cable from the CD-ROM drive, and we've relocated that to the SSD. And so we don't have to add any additional cables or power cables. We don't even need any thermal paste in case of this build right here, since it is an i5 Ivy bridge. It didn't use much power to begin with, even back in the day. So let's give this thing a quick clean down, install Windows, and then see how it performs in games.
Me and you and me was a dream at first. I got lost in your world, in your universe. I never thought our love would ever end. I messed up, made it worse, pushed you away. All that fighting and pain till you left one day. Wish I could take back all those things I said. I can't deny that I miss you, and I know that you miss me too. So let's get over our issues and about to meet someone new, but they can't compare. And I know that I'm being a bit unfair, but you're the only one that's in my heart. I can't deny that I miss you, and I know that you miss me too. So let's get over our issues and go back to me plus you. I know that things weren't perfect, but I think it's worth it. Nobody knows you like I do. I can't deny that I miss you, I miss you. Let's go back to me plus you. I can't deny that I miss you, I miss you. Let's go back to me.
And there it is with the under $200 PC. Some people may be laughing at something like this, but I was enjoying playing games on this thing, and the FPS was really good at 1080p. Dota 2, I had it on medium settings with maximum screen res. The picture looked pretty good, and the FPS was actually really good, where I was getting near close to 120, and I did benchmark this for the entire game that I played on a turbo match, 5 vs 5, with one of my favorite heroes, Sand King. And it was actually quite an intense game, and it ended up being a victory for your boy. But then we move over to CSGO, and this was giving out pretty good FPS. Again, around that 120 range seems to be a sweet spot for this GT 1030 at 1080p, and the i5-3470 was also delivering and able to match the frames with this GPU even on the lower settings. So we had a blend of high and low settings, and that seemed to max the GPU in CSGO. Then moving over to Fortnite, same thing with 1080p, but this time we chose to play on what's called competitive settings, where they put all the settings to low, 100% screen res, but then the epic view distance, and we're getting over 60 FPS most of the times, and it was a smooth experience. You'd definitely be able to find out if you've got the skills on something even as cheap as this PC right here. And then the final game we tested out was Valorant. I'm finding Valorant does give very similar FPS to that of CSGO. We had this on low settings at 1080p, and we're getting around 120 FPS again. But I did find with Valorant, it was a bit more of a smoother experience in terms of the 1% and 0.1% lows than CSGO was. So if you're undecided on which of the two games to play, then I'd say that Valorant is perhaps even more slightly budget friendly in terms of the hardware that you can use to play the game. Though, with those 4 games aside, we had the power consumption, another good factor with this PC, where we didn't even break 100 watts. We were getting from the wall around about 75 watts while we're playing games. So very low on power consumption if you need to save money and on your power bill, for instance, and this thing's going to do a great job of doing that. So the budget costs on the machine itself does match very closely with the ongoing costs, and I was just overall pretty impressed with this machine, especially since, as we said in the intro, a lot of the other PCs out there, if you want to get the fancy RGB lights and then an RTX 3000 series graphics card, you're just going to be simply paying for it in this current market. Though with all that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed today's budget gaming PC that we put together here. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button. Also, if you have any questions about today's build, then be sure to drop a question in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, just like this question of the day here, which comes from Timur, and they ask, I am wondering what Brian does with those HP Elites, transplanting into gaming cases. So this case right here, this PC, you can transplant them into a RGB case if you wish to. It does require a bit of extra work, and in some cases it might not fit in bigger cases. So usually for the transplants, I pick the micro ATX cases with the power supply module or opening area up the top of the case, and then you can just change all the hardware, put it in a better case, even use the same power supply, because some of the HP systems and also some of these OEM systems, they use proprietary connectors. So if you're going to go out and do this transplant, make sure you do a little bit of research before you do that. But in case of what I'm doing with them, I'm mainly using these ones here for budget gaming PCs and also office PCs, and also the other i7 PCs that I picked up in the parts hunt. I'll put the link up here for you guys. I'm going to be using some of those i7s for an RGB transplant into a gaming PC. So I do a lot of different things with the parts that I get in here. Hope that answers that question. And if you guys have stayed this far and you're enjoying that Tech Yes content, then you know what to do. Hit that sub button, ring that bell, and I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.